What is the most damage Link can take in Breath of the Wild? Now, that's obviously a very open-ended question, right? The world is full of dangers, and there are plenty of things just waiting to kill Link. But in the name of video game science, which is a very important study, mind you, today we will determine how to make Link suffer the absolute most. And to achieve this, we've concocted the ultimate test to measure this pain. I hope you enjoy, because surely Link will not. So, in Breath of the Wild, Link's life is measured in hearts, and each heart is equal to 4 damage. Now, when Link's a healthy lad, he can hold up to 30 hearts, meaning, without any armor or damage negation, he can take 120 damage before he kills over. Utilizing armor, elixirs, and food, Link can reduce this damage significantly. Now, when people think of deadly attacks in Breath of the Wild, I imagine most people immediately think of a Guardian Laser. These enemies are absolutely terrifying for new players, and the undamaged Guardian Stalker variants of these bad boys can hit you directly for up to 15 hearts, or 60 damage if you have 0 defense. Then of course there is fire damage and roll damage. All this combined can be very devastating. Now of course, Lynels also pack a wallop, especially silver variants. With the right setup, they can strike down a 0 defense Link with 1 hit, dealing between 120 and 140 damage, making him lose more than his 30 max hearts. But that doesn't happen, does it? No, even new players eventually realize that there is a safety mechanic baked into the game that prevents players from dying in one shot. They'll get hit hard, but they'll survive with a quarter of a heart. It's why Guardians almost seem to be scaling in power as we get farther in the game. You begin thinking their mechanic is that they instantly drop you to a quarter health no matter what. But in reality, it's just the game saving your behind from the 60 devastating damage it can deal. But with the max cap put onto these things, damage is kind of snuffed, right? How can we make Link die multiple times over with a damage figure so large that it not only kills one Link, but hundreds of his future lives? Well, I'm glad you asked, because there is one type of damage in this game that isn't capped, and that's good old fall damage. If Link jumped from the height of the very top of Death Mountain, the tallest area in the game, and landed in the flat grassy plains of Hyrule Field in front of Hyrule Castle, how much damage would he take? Well, let's find out. Now Death Mountain, if you were all the way up top, it would actually be about 1,000 in-game meters tall. And this field down here that I'm running around on is about 200 meters. So in terms of overall height, the exact height of Death Mountain is 1,000, and this area down here is 200. So to mimic this height in distance, we actually placed a platform way up into the sky. That little black speck you can see on the screen right there, that is the platform, and that is placed about 1,200 meters off the ground. And this is done so that by hopping off of this and hitting the ground down below, it'll be exactly 1,000 meters. So of course, a fall this big, we are surely not going to survive. So we're going to do something else. We're going to boost our health above max. So if you look in that top right corner, you're going to see the number 6,120. And this little icon and this parameter is actually the damage that Link can take before he dies. So this is basically 1,530 hearts. And that's a lot of HP. The doctor went to listen to Link's heart and he thought he heard the voices of the gods. That's how healthy Link is right now. And just like that, we are placed 1,200 meters into the air. And oh boy, look at the world around us. Link, you prepared for this moment? And you know what comes next. Now, Link's taking a tumble, and it's a long fall. And as he collides with the earth, shattering his kneecaps and pushing his hips through his stomach, Link's health drops to 4,199. Doing some quick math on my abacus, and we have a total damage of 1,921, or 480 hearts. Yikes. That would be like getting shot by 32 Guardian lasers at the same time. But how is that damage calculated, you ask? Well, I'm glad you did, because it's going to be on the quiz. So our next platform is 2,200 meters, technically double the height of the first. This is taller than anything in the game by a long shot, but let me hit you with some math real quick. Fall damage in Breath of the Wild is kinda neat. When you start falling, you have up to 20 in-game meters before you take any damage. The second you cross those 20 meters, you enter the fall damage zone. At this point, you'll take 0.6 damage a meter, which honestly kind of seems random. Anyways, once you hit 50 meters in fall distance, high fall damage kicks in, and the damage increases per meter past 50. At this point, you take 2 damage a meter. So really, our fall height minus 20 meters is what determines the damage we take, knowing that the first 30 meters are at a lower damage rate. So now that your brain is swollen with knowledge, it's time Link jumped. Link is doing some jumping jacks to warm himself up before his major leap, ladies and gentlemen, and it's going to be quite a fall. With 4,199 health to his name, off he goes. I'm proud of you, Link. You're helping us make such strides in science. And after, looks like 36 seconds of falling, Link's health drops to, ooh, dang, he almost died. 277 health remains, meaning 3,922 damage was taken, or 980 hearts. But we must go higher for the sake of science. 5,000 meters. And at 5,000 meters, the game actually won't spawn in objects any higher. It's the upper limit for objects to appear on the map. And I have to say, it's quite the view up here. We shocked Link back to life and boosted his HP to just over 10,000. And off we go, plummeting through the troposphere, trying to find our way to Tilted Towers, which I think is down there somewhere. 1 minute and 26 seconds later, we take 9,665 damage. Now, you may be thinking, what's the point if we can keep raising Link's health? And that's a valid question, but there's actually an upper limit established by Nintendo. You see, even though Link can only hold 30 hearts, the game allows him to have 65,535 hearts. Yes, you heard that right, 65,535. Now, with that much health, Link wouldn't have to worry about anything. He'd be a god, but even gods can be crushed. So just how high would Link need to fall to deal maximum damage in Breath of the Wild? Well, roughly 131,000 meters. So around 131 kilometers, or 81.4 miles. That's beyond the stratosphere, beyond the mesosphere, and deep into the thermosphere of basically space. With 262,140 health, Link takes the plunge. Okay, so Link's model looks like it's losing its foundation. So we're so far up in the air, and you've seen this maybe in my other videos, but the floating point number system that games use for position often has a lot of decimal points. But when we get to such a high figure like this, well, the model starts to shake around a bit because it has to cut off those extra decimals to make room for the big figure, which is the 131,000 meters that we just moved Link to. Look at the sky up here. It is like I am in the middle of a white void. And you can see how fast I'm moving because of because of all like the cloud things are whizzing on by. But it looks like I'm not moving at all. Honestly, it looks like I'm just sitting here. Ground control to Major Rob. Okay, so I honestly have no idea how long this fall is gonna take. I mean, doesn't look like I'm making any progress. I don't know if I'm stuck here, so I'm just gonna leave this recording for a while and come back, and then maybe I'll measure the time it took to hit the ground, if I ever reach the ground. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Quick update, it's been about like 15 minutes or so, and I can now finally see the world around me. So it looks like we are indeed falling, but I still have no idea how long it's actually gonna take. Okay, so I'm back and I reviewed the footage, and it took 38 minutes and 51 seconds for Link to hit the ground. In doing so, at that height, dealt maximum damage to Link and killed him on the spot. Now, the interesting thing about Breath of the Wild is that the loading zones for the game technically only occur with X and Z distance. So when you're looking outward, there is no loading zone for height. So nothing actually needs to load in as we're falling, so there were actually no delays in that fall, and that's exactly how long it took. After falling 131,000 meters, the force of striking the ground dealt 65,535 hearts, ultimately achieving our goal of triggering maximum damage. I hope you guys enjoyed this bizarre trip. A big thank you to Waikutaru for helping out with this video. And if you enjoyed this type of content, subscribe right now, because I have more coming. Cheers!